Okay, so in 12 minutes today, I'm going to explain to you why disruption, innovation, and technology are not the same. Okay, so our vision is to enable and inspire the global transformation required for innovation and profit. So why is innovation right now at this point in time so critical? So there are rapid changes happening all around the world right now, and that's changing the way that we do and understand business. And those changes are only actually going to get faster. So it's only as slow as it ever is going to be today. That's why they're calling it the exponential age, because it's going to get exponentially faster. So some say we are in the fourth industrial revolution, some say we're not, but that's a conversation for another time. So I'm sure you've all met Sophia. So Sophia is the first AI robot by Hanson Robotics that has got citizenship in Saudi Arabia. And she has a passport and she travels. And I actually read an article yesterday that she's wanting to have a baby, which is quite concerning, and another conversation. So then she has a sister called Little Sophia. So Little Sophia is commercially available for purchase. There's a robot in China that's passed the National Medical Licensing Examination. There's more than one virtual anchor in China at the moment. Uber are test flying taxis in Dallas, in LA, and in Melbourne at the moment. And CERN, which is in Switzerland, well, underground, it's about 50 to 175 meters underground, depending on the location. It's 27 kilometers in diameter, and they've managed to get a particle to go faster than the speed of light. So that means, never mind the battle going on in space, that time travel might possibly be possible in the future. So we can be traveling in flying taxis back in time, who knows. So living on other planets is a critical step in the evolution of humanity. That's Musk. And ultimately, this planet will be zoned residential and light industry. So long story short, and there's a million of these examples that I can go through, there's a lot of change happening globally at the moment. We're largely in a bubble. This is real, this is happening, and there are two options, adapt or die, a bit extreme. But it was Darwin who said it's not the strongest the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It's the ones most adaptable to change. So we're living in changing times, and those companies that lag behind are going to become as extinct as the dinosaurs were. So what actually is innovation? So now we understand why we need to innovate at the moment. Most of us do. So what exactly is innovation? So at its simplest form, innovation is a process of conceptualizing an idea into a product or service of value. So there are three phases in that value creation, and we call it design thinking. So the first phase is inspiration, then ideation, and then implementation. So the first stage, inspiration. Inspiration is when you connect with another human being. So that's when you suspend all of your existing paradigms. You normally do some form of ethnography, which is observing of human behavior of your particular target market. You use deep empathy, you connect, you feel the pain of another, you step into their shoes, and you are driven by that connection to have a desire to solve their pain or enable their lives. So that's inspiration. The second step then is ideation. You take all of that inspiration and you go, what is technologically feasible? What is financially viable? What is a good business plan? And you select an idea from that. You then go into the implementation phase where you decide how are you actually going to take this product or service to market. Is it going to be offline? Is it going to be online? So where companies are going wrong at the moment is they are focusing too much on the latter two phases and not enough on the first phase. So the latter phase is they're focusing on their product or service, and they're trying to understand how do we make our product or service better, faster, digitize, technology. Or they're focusing on ideas, and they're ideating, and they're using different forms of ideation, such as the agile concepts, conceptual blending, focus groups, and so forth. Not enough companies are focusing on the inspiration part, which is that deep connection to your target market and understanding what exactly are the needs of your target market through empathy, through stepping into their shoes. So what you're ultimately doing in terms of innovation is that you're matching needs, consumer needs that are out there, with what is technologically feasible and what a viable business strategy can convert into value. So that's actually what innovation is. So ideas are meaningless unless you know what your customer values. So it goes back to that deep, heartfelt, empathetic connection, which we are not doing enough of at the moment. So your product or service is merely a vehicle of value. We're focusing on the product or service as the execution, but that's just merely a vehicle of that value. So the process is very human-centered. It's the creation of an idea by observing another human being by another human being. So it's a human-centered process. So at any stage, it may or may not include technology. At any one of those stages, inspiration, ideation, implementation, you may or may not utilize technology, but technology is not innovation. So innovation is the empathy to connect, the inspiration to solve, creativity, which means beyond existing paradigms, which means going beyond your current biases, thinking differently, knowing how locked in you are actually to your current thinking at the moment, and then to ideate and have the courage to be able to implement. So innovation is very much human-centered. It's a human-centric process. It's far removed in reality from technology. So all of your WEF 2022 skills for success, all of those skills are based on your ability to think critically, to think analytically, to problem solve, to have emotional intelligence, to connect with another human being. So all of the skills that you actually need in the new age are human-centered skills, which we are not focusing sufficiently on because we focus so much on thinking we're going to miss the boat with digitizing our environments and digitizing our products and services. So what are different types of innovation? I'm not going to go into all of these, but there are 11 broad different types of innovation, and one of those types of innovation is disruption. So many different types of innovation, one of them is disruption, and actually less than 1 out of 10, even less than that, is actually some form of disruption. So most innovation is actually incremental, that we're hardly even noticing. So disruption is a type of innovation that displaces. So it completely displaces in industry, it displaces companies. Disruption is not innovation. Disruption is a type of innovation, and it's a very small part of what innovation actually is. So now SpaceX at the moment are working on technology to enable us to go anywhere in the world within 30 minutes. So they're wanting to make that commercially available in under 10 years at the price of a domestic ticket. Okay, so they're wanting to make that available in less than 10 years. So that's disruption. That's a singularity. Innovation happens thereafter. So that disrupts many companies, many industries, many countries, because your competition all of a sudden got global. You can live anywhere, work anywhere, at the price of a domestic ticket, and travel literally anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. So how to innovate? So insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? So if you want to innovate, you want to change your results. So to change your results, you need to change your behavior, and to change your behavior, you need to change the way that you think. Innovation starts with the way that you think, and it's your ability to be able to connect. So 95% of everything that we do is a result of habit, and some actually say this goes up to 97%, and even the way you think is as a result of habit. So if you want a new outcome, you'll have to break the habit of being yourself. You'll have to break the habit of how you think and how you feel and how you act if you want to innovate. So your brain actually is only able to absorb 40 bits of information per second, and there is 11 million bits of information at any point in time available. So that's why there's no such thing as reality, because reality is just perception. All of you right now, even though you're looking at me, you're actually looking through a different lens, which means you're seeing a different version of reality. So does reality exist or not? So there's 11 million bits of information. We can only absorb in 40 bits of that information. And the 40 bits that we choose to absorb depends on our programs, depends on what we are choosing to believe. So if you want to open up your programs and be creative and think beyond your existing paradigms, you need to understand to be able to think outside of your existing programs. So we notice only what matches our internal belief system and identified context. So extreme achievers see opportunities through connection, through human empathetic connection. They see opportunities. They are able to step into the shoes of another, and they're driven by that to solve their pains or enable them. They create outside of existing paradigms. They're aware of that. They can only see those 40 based on their limitations, and they know how to step outside of that and think differently. So the new business paradigm of the exponential age is V equals V. So what do you value, which it's in brackets because it doesn't really matter in the innovation context what you value. That's just what you're going to get as a default. So what's most important is number 2 and number 3. So what is the market value? What is their need? Are you assuming their need? Do you actually understand what their needs are? Are you, through deep empathy, connecting with them, and do you actually understand what your customers actually want? So what do they need? And then how do you sustainably deliver that need? And as Cindy Norcott mentioned earlier, you always give more than what you actually want in return. So you always give more value than the value that you're actually receiving in return. And in business, that value in return will be the profit that you actually make. So before you actually make money, is there actually need? Is there a high enough need? Over-deliver that and ensure that the way that you actually deliver that is done in a sustainable manner where you're caretaking the entire ecosystem. So that's the new business paradigm for the exponential age. And a paradigm shift is a change that happens when the usual way of thinking is replaced by a new and different way. So the innovation age is not calling you to digitize everything. The innovations age is calling you to connect, is to get back in touch with your human skills and be able to think differently outside of your existing paradigms that's focused outside of yourself. Innovation is not focused on you. Innovation, besides you being the vessel of excellence and value delivery, you're focused on the other, whoever your target market is, and how are you going to deliver value that they need, not value that you need. Because if most businesses are failing to innovate, they're failing to innovate because they're not matching up with the value in the marketplace that's actually needed. So try not to become a man of success, or should I rather say a person of success, but rather try to become a person of value. So look at the world in terms of value. How are you creating value? How are you delivering value outside of yourself? So we're passionate about shifting our paradigm to delivering value outside of yourselves. Are you? That's the question. And did you understand in 12 minutes, oh, I went over, 12:55, why innovation and disruption and technology are different? Then my job is done. Thank you.